Hey guys, Lady Liberty Stacker here. I am back to show you how I make candles out of old candle wax from the pillar candles that we use, that we keep burning in our fireplace to keep it, or wood stove I should say, to keep it warm and to prevent backdrafts. And if you use a lot of jar candles that come in jars like so, these don't always burn down, and I actually use the old ones to store pieces of old wax, from these candles and wax from the pillars that doesn't burn anymore. And I hate for that to go to waste, and you can regenerate candles, eventually for next to nothing after you have your equipment. So I want to show you how I make candles, and I'll show you what equipment I have available to do that. To start with, we have an empty or used up candle from the dollar store. This is actually a white. It's 8 inches tall, about 2 inches wide. And I just peeled off the wick base with a knife, so we're all ready to pour again. This is what one looks like after it's been done. This is my first attempt at making one. Of course, you have to have the wicks and so forth, so I'm going to go ahead and set those to the side, show you what else we have. Of course, we have our leftover wax. I keep them in here. I'm thinking at least this amount of wax would make a candle, so we'll see. And then I got a batch of 50 wicks with the bases. And then you get your stickums. You peel these off and stick them on the bottom of the wick so they stick to the bottom of your glass jar and stay in place. This is a wick centering device. I got this on it from an eBay seller. I got these, and I believe I got the stickums from the same seller, and the only thing I didn't like about this seller is they sent them out in a first class envelope, and the envelope had ripped from this. They didn't really package it really well, but it did arrive and they did respond, so that was a good thing. But I ordered 50 of these, and from a different seller I ordered 50 wicks. All this stuff is very inexpensive, cheaper than the local craft store, that's for sure, because I did go there to see. And then the other thing that I have is just one of these skewers that I just had in my kitchen, and tongs to put the wick on the bottom of the glass jar and to make sure it sticks once your peel-off stickum is on the bottom of that. I got these at the dollar store, just simple tongs. And then an aluminum pouring pot, and I got this from eBay. It was about $11 and change. At my local craft store, I think they wanted $16 to $20 for this, which is ridiculous. If you have one of these already, or have something that aluminum like this with the pour spout, I needed the pour spout. That's why I got this. I didn't really have anything that I could use that I didn't want to ruin with wax. So if you have something, you don't need to buy anything. So that's what you need to do this. And I'm going to put the camera down, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, I've got the wick here, and I'm going to go ahead and take one of my gizmos here, peel-offs, and we're going to put it on the bottom of our wick, like so. And then we're going to just go ahead, and these wicks are pretty firm. I'm just going to go ahead and place it in the center of the jar. And I'm going to take my tongs, just like so, and I'm just going to push it to the bottom of the glass jar, and so it stays in place. And there you have it on the bottom of the jar, just like so. Okay, now, once you use the centering device, once you have the wax poured, and it just kind of works kind of like this. It just keeps it centered like this. But I'm not going to use it yet. I'm going to wait until I pour the wax. So we're going to warm up. We're going to turn our stove on to medium heat. And we've got I'll move the candle out of the way. And I'm going to use my, you could use a paint stir, a paint stick, whatever, a wood stick. It doesn't really matter. You just want to put your wax in to melt it. So I'm going to pour in a good amount. a good amount of this, and we're just going to melt it down, and we're going to pour it in. We're going to make a candle. So this is a great way to repurpose your old wax and, you know, make candles for much less expensive than, you know, well, actually, the reason really why we're doing this is if you don't have the ability to go to the dollar store and get them cheap, then you can make them at home like this. And if you don't have power, you can always do this over a fire, or I can actually do it on my wood stove. It'd be hot enough to melt the wax there. If you just put the aluminum container in the top of the wood stove, it would melt it. So I'm going to let this heat up, and I'll be back. This is kind of what it looks like as it melts. And I just use this stick to move it around. And it's hard to do this holding the tripod with the camera on it. But this is melting gradually. And I just move it around as it melts. So I will be back once it's melted a little bit more. Okay, I'm back again. I tried to get the little particles out of the wax drippings because when you use it in your fireplace or wood-burning stove, it can get a little messy. But the functionality is still the same, so it is all melted. You can see that down there, a little bit of dirt or what have you in there. But you know what? That doesn't affect the functionality of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pour the wax in the, not quite enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt a little bit more. I know I need at least, that's enough. I know I need at least, I'm going to use the centering device now, and it'll hold it upright as the wax hardens. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to the side. It gets a little bit warm, so I'm going to move that over. And we're going to go ahead and melt the rest of the wax. And I will be back when we're ready to finish pouring it. Okay, I'm back again, and we are going to go ahead and do our final pour. And this time it went almost all the way to the top. So this is where we put our wick, centering wick device in here. And I think I'm going to use it. They have various ones that you can use. So I'm going to go ahead and just set it up. I'm going to keep it on somewhere where it can stay steady. And then there's a little extra wax. I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner off. And I'm going to go ahead and pour some in this candle. Just make sure the wick is not buried. And we're all ready to go. So that's what it will look like when you're going to wait for it to harden. And it'll look more like this when you're all done. So that's how you make candles out of your leftover dollar store candles, and the best way, the cheapest way to do it for an emergency. And if you have any questions, please leave them below. I will go ahead and provide links for some of my purchases below, and if you want to do this yourself, you can do it. It's a great prepping tool, and you just never know when you're going to need to use this. Remember, these types of candles last for about 2.5 days, and they burn down almost to the bottom, so you don't have much wasted wax with these. That's why you want the smaller pillar candles. That will give you the leftover wax that you need. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys, and go make it a great day.